Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here because, just like the previous video, I wanted to talk about this, but of course, with the Apricot Fiesta going on and then my mom, taking an additional day off and everything, I didn't really have the chance and all that. So I wanted to come on here and talk about these things here. This was posted on Facebook, on the Save the Freedom Fighters Facebook page, by Otha Bland. I apologize for that. But this is from the Twitter account of the complete of SatAMHistorian, aka Jacob Berkeley, who's currently working on a book. He plans to at least get, I would assume, the first, maybe final draft out by this year, by the end of this year, so that we can have a really good idea of what we're going to be in store for. But there's a section of the book that he's working on that he basically felt was just too good not to pass up to be some kind of like video documentary. So what he plans to do in correspondence of releasing the book eventually is kind of give us a more, I guess you could say, visual documentary sneak peek as to what the book is going to be about, what they're going to touch upon, things like that. So, for example, I'm going to bring this up here. I don't know how they got this in order here. Let's see. Okay, he's got the images. So, let's see if I can get this all figured out here for you guys. All right. Okay. So, this is what he was saying. This is kind of part of what he was talking about. As it says here, and this is from his Twitter page, he says, and I quote, in the third season, Dulcie would mature, coming into her full powers, proving to be a dominant force. Ben Hurst, who was the main writer at that time for the second season, and helped occasionally write stories for the first season when it originally aired, he said Ben never Pacific. Okay, let me rewind that. Let me rewind. He said basically, in the third season, Dulcie would mature, coming into her full powers, proving to be a dominant force. Ben never pacific, pacificed or pacificized her new powers or anything, aside from his statement that, quote, you don't want to see a dragon when she gets mad. So in other words, he basically said that she would grow, she would get more powerful and more mature over time than what we saw in the second season. Now, the illustrations are done by someone at Twitter called Sam E8189, who's doing these illustrations not just for the book, but for the video documentary that Jacob, SatAMHistorian, is working on. Now, he also talked about this one as well, and this was kind of interesting. This was kind of interesting. And this is from just a guy named Sam, the person that does the illustrations that are very SatAM like. This is what Sam said in a response. He said, "Cut." He said, "Cut from the season two." Okay, hold on. There, I had to drink some Coke there. But let's start over here. Quote: This is what Sam E8189, just a guy named Sam who's doing the illustrations, said, and I quote: Cut from the second season, here's the long lost Jungle Freedom Fighters episode. And he said this is a small mock up of what could have been, made for SatAMHistorian's upcoming Sonic video, which SatAMHistorian Jacob plans to release this September, if not sooner. Now, this is what SatAMHistorian Jacob said, and I quote: This is what he's going to have in the documentary as well as in the book, and I quote: Ben Hurst, Pat Ali, and Len Jansen plan to introduce a group of jungle freedom fighters in the show's second season. Sadly, this had to be cut due to network mandated Antoine episodes. For the Ben Hurst documentary, Sam E8189 has been designing a group of jungle freedom fighters based on the scrapped concept with a gorilla, cheetah, a bat, freedom fighter. The Batgirl is the leader who's missing her left arm, with her pet snake acting as a replacement. Ben Hur stated that they plan to introduce more freedom fighter groups had there been more seasons. So it's likely the planned group of Jungle Freedom Fighters would have been reincorporated into the show's second season. Find out more about SatAM's scrapped concepts in the upcoming book and documentary. And the storyboards were illustrated by Long Crier Cat. And then this is what he said at the end, and I quote: just as a clarification, Ben only pacificed the group as being jungle freedom fighters. The actual species, characters, and designs are all the creation of Sam E8189 for the documentary. So, in other words, basically, and these are more up close visuals, very SatAM like visuals that Sam created for the documentary and the book. This is basically where the idea for the third season of Dulcie coming, more mature, becoming more mature and really growing in her powers came from. And then this here is the illustration of the bat of the jungle freedom fighters. And as we could tell, we have two male characters and two female characters. The female being the bat. And then again, according to what they're saying, and it says right here, you know, in the third season, Dulcie would mature, coming into her full powers, proving to be a dominant force. Ben never pacified her new powers, aside from his statement that you don't want to see a dragon when she gets mad. And this here, right here, going back to what we were, this right here is an illustration of what, going off of what was described to Sam, as being Dulcie getting mature and basically being like, hey, you pissed me off, now you die kind of deal, or something. And then, of course, these are the Jungle Freedom Fighters as well. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, you have, the Jungle Freedom Fighters descriptions here. And what this is, and I'm going to go to Twitter, hopefully with no issue, because for some reason, when the computer loads, you can't really go to a website or something like that without it, basically saying, let me load first, let me load, and everything. Let's see. SatAM Historian, there it is. We're gonna go down here. You should have some updated stuff, hopefully. Go down here, and we're gonna talk about that one in a moment. And we're talking about season. Okay, we'll talk about more about this in a moment. Okay, so here we are. So here's the one about the freedom fighters, and all that. So there's that, right there. And this is, he's just retweeting some things and all that. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Hold on. Is it loading? Yeah. Internet's loading, guys. I do apologize. I don't know what it is with images and everything, but it likes to take its time and load. So, hold on. I have to let it load. Gotta let it load. Has that ever happened to you guys? You're going on the internet, and then your computer decides, wait, let me load, and everything. It's just a pain sometimes. I know it's probably doing a virus scan or something, so. Yeah, see. It's loading something. Hold on, let me hear some. Ooh. I just hit the thing trying to. Listen, I know it's loading and all that, so I do apologize. So. But yeah, apparently these are the illustrations that they came up with, basically for, that Sam came up with anyway, for it. But yeah, this is something that, again, they're working on and all that. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see and to find out, to know that, oh, there's more characters, or more, not just more characters, but there's actually, there's actually concept ideas and everything for the third season, as well as finding out the fact that basically we didn't really need the Antoine episodes, or at least one of them anyway, because here's the thing, and I've talked about this before when it comes to wrestling. The one thing you always have to be careful of is when you're working with somebody is basically the mandates that someone or network in some cases have. And those mandates being, hey, we want these instead of this. And to think we could have had an additional episode with Jungle Freedom Fighters, that would have been something. Now, obviously, this wouldn't have been like, this wouldn't have been like the final designs or anything, or actual designs. But, to know we would have had, at least a female bat, at least, maybe, or, well, again, we don't know if that's true or not. Excuse me. For all we know, the Jungle Freedom Fighters could have, played an integral role in everything, in the third season. That. So, hold on. Yeah, I think my computer's doing a virus scan right now. It does this at times. But anyway, what was I? Oh, here we go. But like I said, yeah, it's interesting to find out that basically, we could have had a new episode, you know, basically for the second season that would have really built upon the Doomsday Saga that we were going into with the meeting of the Freedom Fighters and all that. But instead, they decided, yeah, we want something else. We want something else, and we want something more funny. It's like, why? Why do you want something more funny and everything? Now, what we have here is these are just concepts, things he's going to talk about in the book. Like this, obviously, was going to be the original logo and everything for the VHSs until they went with a more familiar logo and everything. So, and then of course you had um, some more information and everything he's finding out about. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's doing a great job here, in my opinion. Um, that, and obviously there was going to be a breath away or a death away kind of gag and all that put in there. So if we can look back on that, see. Um, so yeah, obviously if they would have went with a more cartoony, adventures-like direction, that's obviously what we would have gotten. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. So yeah, obviously they're gonna share some other stuff in here as well, connected to Ben and all that. You know, but yeah, it's kind of cool to. It's kind of cool, like I said, in a fact, to learn about what would have been. I mean, we know about Tails and him coming into his own powers. We know that. Um, we know that basically there would have been a love interest, for another love interest for Sally, someone that would have competed for affections, against Sonic, whoever that would have been, we don't know. He's going to talk about that in the documentary too. And then, of course, to learn that there was going to be an actual episode, yeah, an actual episode, according to what he says here, because he says here Ben Hurst, Paddle Lee, Lynn Jansen plan to introduce a group of jungle freedom fighters in the show's second season. Sadly, it had to be cut due to the network mandated Antoine episodes. And to me, I'm like, look, you want to do your Antoine episodes, fine, but don't don't basically um, sacrifice storytelling for that. It's kind of basically like what would happen during the Mecha Sally arc, if you will, when Archie Sonic decided, along with Sega, yeah, 242, it's not going to continue the story as normal. We're gonna break in. You know, we're gonna break into it, and we're gonna say instead we're gonna make it an Olympic episode, Olympic issue. And it's like, what's the point? The Olympics were probably, I think, done by then or something. The Olympic Games with Sonic and Mario were already out, so why do it? You know, why? Why? Because it was mandated. Even if it, interrupted the ongoing story plot. So to see that this is what we could have had in the second season, it's to me it's a disappointment because you to me you could have been expanding more on the story. You could have been expanding and building more on the story than you did previously. So to me, to drop this, I think was bad. No matter whether or not these would have been the designs of the characters or similar to them, I think it was just bad. I think it was just bad and all that. Because again, you really want to put emphasis on the story and show how many freedom fighter groups are out there on that list. Okay, I mean we get the Wolfpack, we know that. We know Ari's group, from the beginning, or at least Ari was the only survivor of his group. Then we had, the Wolfpack. Obviously, Griff's group they could have brought back in from the first season was probably on that list. And then obviously you probably had the Jungle Freedom Fighters on that list too. And it's like, why mess up on that opportunity? It just to me it just did not make any real sense whatsoever to say, look, to say, look, Dick Entertainment, Sega, we get you wanna, we get you wanna basically do this ongoing story, but we want to lighten the mood. I mean, look, second season was already lightened. Okay, the characters were a little bit more comedic and all that, a little bit more lighthearted. There's no doubt. It doesn't mean you have to really go that distance, if you will, by sacrificing, you know, an ongoing story just so you could say, yeah, after the void, instead of doing an episode where they meet the Jungle Freedom Fighters, instead we're going to do an episode where Antoine ends up being, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Antoine ends up going insane because Sonic's staying with him because his hut has to get rebuilt because of the snowstorm, and Dulcie crashing into it, and all that. And oh, by the way, we're also going to do a story where a female Bride of Frankenstein character falls for Antoine. It's like it's like seriously, you're gonna sacrifice a great story, mind you, for that. It's like you could have scrapped that and not the jungle story. But I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more later on. Maybe the story was too dark or something like that. I don't know. I don't know, but to me, I feel like you could have sacrificed that episode, that second Antoine mandated episode, with this, because obviously, because obviously it just, it feels like it puts things out of context. Like I said, it's like when Archie and Sega interrupted the ongoing Mecha Sally storyline with that Olympic one, with the Olympic story, with that Olympic advertisement being the main story of issue 242. It's like, what sense does that make? You know, you're like saying, pardon the interruption, but instead of instead of doing the ongoing story, we're going to give you this to lighten the mood. And it's like, seriously, it's like, what sense did that make? It didn't make no sense in my opinion. It really didn't. It really didn't make any sense. And when I look back on it, really, when I look back on it and you really think about it, it didn't really make any sense as to why we go from the Void episode after she gets the list, she gets briefly reunited with her father, finds out where he's at and all that. We get introduced to basically the new protagonist for the upcoming not protagonist, but the new antagonist, the new villain for the upcoming season. You know, when you really think about it, it just felt like it. It felt like it do anything. It felt like they were gonna go in the direction of starting to do this storyline with them finding the freedom fighters off the list, but instead they go in the direction with Antoine. It's like it's no wonder a lot of us, even looking back on it now, kind of look on how it was presented, and it's like, why go from the void, which feels like it's a prelude to the Doomsday Saga episodes, the Doomsday Saga, the final four episodes. Why go from there and then right in the middle, right before you go into that saga, you give us the Antoine stuff? It doesn't make sense. It really didn't. It didn't really, make any sense, in my opinion, because it's like, it's like it felt like, because if you take, and a lot of people have said this, you take out the Antoine episodes, the one after Blast of the Past Part 2 and the one after The Void, nothing would have been affected. Nothing. Nothing would have been affected. But yet, the mandatory to be in there, what, to lighten the mood? Hello? If you wanted to, you could have easily just said, hey, we're going to give you a 28 episode season, and then the last two episodes could be Antoine based. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to interrupt up some ongoing storytelling to make that happen. It just, to me, it just did not make sense. It did not make sense, in my opinion. And you can't tell me when you read this and you see this that it doesn't, dawn on you, or doesn't, dawn on you basically that, oh, wait a minute. Now I know, now looking back on it, no wonder it felt, that Antoine two cartoon short episode, felt out of place. No wonder it felt weird, just being slotted in between the Void and Cry of the Wolf. It's because it wasn't supposed to be there. Instead, it was supposed to be this episode about the Jungle Freedom Fighters meeting up with Sonic and Sally, and whoever else they bring with them. It just, it really ticks me off now when I think about it. It really ticks me off. Because could you imagine how much more expansive and how much more, storytelling wise, it could have, helped make a great saga even better? I mean, come on. Come on. It's like, ABC. We get that you want to make things lighthearted and everything, and not so dark with some of the cartoons you had at that time, but that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I mean, it's no. Here's the thing. It's like I mentioned earlier. When you're, even with wrestling, when you're dealing with a network or a channel, that wants certain things a certain way, even if you feel like, hey, we're taking a risk doing that, or we're taking a risk doing that, or focusing on that, and da da da, you have to do it because they're mandating it, and it just really, to me, pisses me off when I think about it. That we could have had, in my opinion, a movie finale that, when you carefully edit it together, like I did and others are doing. Excuse me. When you carefully edit that all together, you could have had a movie finale that was not just, 85, 86 minutes? You could have had one that was in the hundreds, an hour and 40 something. Yeah, that was a little longer than would be planned, but come on. Come on, it would have made things, to me, it would have made it even better, like I said. But yeah, it's disappointing to know that, to kind of find out the truth, I guess you could say, behind the fact of, or behind the, or behind, let me rewind it. All right. What I'm trying to say is it's kind of disappointing now finding out that, instead of having a second mandatory Antoine episode with two 15-minute to 11-minute shorts, but, sandwiched in between The Void, which was the prelude episode to the Doomsday Saga, and Cry of the Wolf, which was the first part, the first chapter of said saga. It's disappointing to find out that the original first chapter could have been about them meeting with the Jungle Freedom Fighters as part of that. That that is really disappointing, and I'm hoping when team season completes, the first episode, and they start building and getting more financial support and everything, and start building upon, you know, the third season, and trying to get it to be what it should always have been. To me, I hope they include the Jungle Freedom Fighters. I really do, and maybe give us a flashback to touch upon the fact that, yeah, this is how they met, and it was during the second season, during the journey to find the other freedom fighters. So, so yeah, it's kind of disappointing about that. But there is some good news. Here's some good news. Now, this here was interesting because this was 2 days ago, or actually, what was it? Um, what was it? 2 days ago, 3 days ago. But Sega, but Sonic Sega.gp of Japan not only did a happy birthday Sonic by showcasing a lot of fan works and everything, like fan art and all that, but one of the fan works they displayed was this. And why is this so important? If we bring it up without incident, that's the Sonic Japan channel, right? Look who's right there in the middle. Look who's right there. Sally and Nicole. That's right. I don't know if I see Bunnie in here. She might be in here somewhere. See, we see Vanilla. I don't see Bunnie. But yeah, Sally and Nicole are in there. That's pretty cool. And that is a fan work. There's no doubt. These are fan works and everything. That's really nice to see. And then look at this. Look at this right here. More fan work. That's King Sonic from Mobius years later. But more fan work. And look right there. Look at that. I'm going to bring it up. Look at that. We have Bunnie, Sally. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool. And if we can get back now, um, how do you go back here? Oh, there we go. Have to refresh it. But yeah, that's pretty cool to see. And obviously, a lot of people are happy about it because even the smallest of victories, are the big can end up being the biggest because normally they would ignore they would ignore, the freedom fighters. They would ignore them, not really touch upon them and all that. But to see that and this basically is really nice. It's really nice to see. I mean, look, Nicole and Sally. What more can you say about that? What more can you say about that? Now, I know some people might say, well, they have to include them because it's fan work. Yeah, I get it's fan work, don't get me wrong. But still, it's a nice little thing. I mean, they could have easily said, yeah, we're not going to include them because, they're not official characters and all that. No, it proves they're official. It proves they are official. There's no doubt about it. Even if it's fan work, it proves they're official. So I love the idea that we got that. And look, it was done on the 1st of June. So I love that. I love the idea that we got that. And I'm very happy about that, in my opinion. Very happy. Very happy. So yeah, just a lot of, just a lot of good stuff coming up for Sonic, not just through fans, but even with the official Sonic channel out of Japan. So that's really good. That's really cool. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here and give you my thoughts on some of the Sonic stuff that's out there. Courtesy of fans and everything, and team season and all that. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of discuss this and all that. So you guys could check it out yourselves and everything if you want to. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below, live chat during the premiere, like the video. Super chats are open during the live chat of the premiere. And also, you can help donate with the super thanks, as well as help donate to looking at my shop at BW at my Teespring store, as well as you can help support me over at BW Roses Discussions, which is on Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, and all that. You can help me out there; be greatly appreciated. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are on what I had to say here. With all this Sonic stuff going on, how do you feel about some of the stuff that's been announced, that's been showcased by people like SatAMHistorian Jacob Berkeley? What are your thoughts on Sega Sonic Channel at his, Sega Japan acknowledging the freedom fighters?